Hello everybody, I'm JT. Welcome to the Flipside of board games. We just finished up our top 100, and unbeknownst to Sam, I decided to do just a few stats from that video, just a few fun facts. So if you're listening to this, we successfully completed our top 100 without killing each other or just stopping in the middle and going to play other board games. So you should be proud. For those of you who haven't gone back and seen all the top 100, you should go watch them. They're pretty entertaining. Sam and I are both goofballs, so. But anyways, let's go to the most important stat first. The most important stat first is how many Vincent Dutrait games Sam actually has in his top 100. According to Board Game Geek and all the research I could do there, not that it's completely accurate, obviously, Sam has 8 Vincent Dutrait games in his top 100. According to Sam, though, that's probably closer to 30 to 40. Of course, I could have missed some. Board Game Beat might be wrong on a couple of them, but only 8, Sam. That's kind of disappointing, really. For me, I have 4, and I don't even pipe it all up. So I got 4, and if we do our 101 to 120 spoilers, I think there's going to be one more in there. So we enjoyed the top 100 enough that we might do just one more piece. So anyways, big disappointment, Sam. Only 8. Second item on the list is publishers. Thought it was pretty cool going through the top 100. My top publishers, I have 6 Garfield games. I have 6 Simon games, and my third most is 4 Stonemaier games, so that's pretty cool. I'll take it. I like them all. As far as Sam goes, he's got 8 Fantasy Flights. He's got 7 Days of Wonder, which are fantastic, obviously, with Heat. Days of Wonder is on a roll lately, and only good things to come, hopefully. So, and then he's got 4 publishers tied for 4 games each, and that's Blue Orange, Cosmos, Matago, and Mythic. So those are the most publishers we had, or most games by publisher that we had, either one of us. The other thing that I wrote down here or looked at was theme. Most importantly, I guess, and most boringly, is 29 of my games were fantasy-themed games, which, with me playing D&D and just enjoying all things fantasy, I guess that makes sense. I also had 14 sci-fi games, and then just a smattering of everything else. As far as Sam goes, I will note Sam had 6 war games, and I had 0. But other than that, I also had 4 Marvel games, I guess, which makes me a fanboy, maybe, or maybe Marvel games are coming out are just so fantastic that they deserve to be up there. So I'll take it. I like them. As far as Sam's go, he had 20 fantasy games. He had 9 Viking games, which is a big disappointment. For the king of Viking board games, only having 9 was kind of sad. And truthfully, he could have had way better Viking games on his list as well. So let's hope next year he can do much better and retain his title of being the king of Viking board games. Other than that, he had 13 space-themed games and 17 medieval games. He is a fan of history for sure. So anyways, that's pretty cool. As far as mechanisms go, there are some interesting mechanisms, kind of groupings. As far as engine building goes, I couldn't really tell with Sam's because I don't know every one of his games, and I don't play every one of his games, and some of the BGG stats and stuff like that don't quite have everything included. So as far as Sam's, I only know of 1 engine builder in his game, but I'm sure there's more. I just don't know them. For me, engine building is one of my favorites, and I had 14 asterisk 15, depending on what you call a engine builder, but still 14 engine builders out of 100. I really like engine building. Next one is worker placement. I had 26 worker placement plus 9 dice worker placement. So that puts me at 35 worker placement games, as opposed to Sam's pathetic 13. So if anybody has to worry about it or has to ask a question, I am much more of a Euro gamer than Sam is. What a surprise. Interesting thing of note, which I think these are good in every single board game. You put these in a board game, it makes it so much better. 46 of my games and 42 of Sam's games had variable player powers. That's really significant. Nearly half of everything we had variable player powers. They add so much depth and so much longevity to a lot of games. So that one's pretty cool. For those of you that have watched Sam's in my videos, it won't be much of a surprise that he has 21 area control games. That's area control or area majority, and whereas I only have 11. He also has 20 games with dice combat, and I have 10. Again, much more in his wheelhouse. And he has 38 games with dice rolling and I have 28 games with dice rolling, but as far as I'm concerned, that's a really kind of dumb mechanic to put on BGG, just for the fact that if you have one dice in a box, it's going to be considered dice rolling. So I'd ignore that one. What else do we got that's pretty cool? Sam, action points. 18 of his games use action points, as opposed to 8 of mine. Again, that fits in pretty well. Another really cool stat is I had 20 co-op games, and Sam had 17 co-op games. One of the cool things about co-op games, and one of the cool things about those kind of games in general, anything now that has a good solo mode, I've started to teach my wife with that solo mode. So instead of sitting across from her and telling her a bunch of rules and everything else, sometimes we'll just sit down, I'll play the solo mode, I'll have her sitting next to me, we'll do a whole bunch of work, she can play it with me, we can go through the game, and by the time we're done with the game, she's ready to take her thing, she's already kind of figured out some of the strategies, she understands the concepts, and it all kind of clicks way better that way. So I know that's a tangent from co-op games, but we like to do things co-op, even if they're competitive games with a solo mode. So that's pretty cool. 20 co-op games for me. What else here? I have 26 Euro games, depending on what you call a Euro game. As far as I could tell, 26 is a pretty good number, and I'll take it, as opposed to Sam's boring, pathetic 6 co-op or Euro games. So someday he'll learn. I promise he'll learn. Other things that we had: tile placement. I had 16 and he had 9. Set collection. I had 22 and he had 20. Again, set collection can be a very small mechanic, or it can be a game mechanic, like a major game mechanic. So I'm sure all of those don't fall into major game mechanics. But I had 15 deck builders. I really love deck builders. Let's see, what else have we got? Character movement, we had 9 each. Tech trees, I had 8 and he had 4. It kind of surprised me because I really love tech trees. So I kind of expected that number would be higher, but it is what it is. We both had 7 auction bidding games, and they were not the same 7 auction bidding games, so that's pretty interesting. We both had 1 roll and write. We both failed in that regard, but it is what it is. Open draft. Here's another one. 32 of my games had an open draft or card buy. 17 of Sam's games had an open draft or card buy, meaning that there's a card market, or even like Cascadia with a tile draft. Anything that's open out on the table that you're drafting or buying, they kind of fall into that category. So that's pretty cool. Definitely one of my favorite mechanics as well. And then I had 10 storytelling games, and he had 5 storytelling games. Sorry about dropping my pen. And then he had 3 war games, and I had 3 trick-taking games. So I guess we're even. I wish I would have checked rondels and games with traders, because there were a few of those in there, but I didn't actually check those. So as long as my iPad keeps working here. One of the other things I checked was weight on BGG. Just a quick rundown. I had 4 in the 4s. I had 34 in the 3 weight, which is anything from 3 to 3.99. I had 49 in the twos, and I had 13 in the ones. Where Sam had 1 in the fours, which, hurry up and guess before I get to telling you what it is, but he had 1 in the fours, he had 14 in the threes, he had 54 in the twos, and you'll notice that the majority of both of our games are in the twos. And I think when you're getting on the table and you're playing with a bunch of people and you're playing in a bunch of different locations, twos are the most accessible for that reason. So it's nice to have a bunch of those, and they're really good games. So twos kind of make up the bulk, whereas your specialized stuff, comes off of that different directions. And he had 31 ones, but again, these are card games and family games and things like that. I would assume Cascadia is a one, and some of those other ones, obviously like Dice Throw and things like those are ones as well. So that doesn't mean it's a bad game. It just means it's more family friendly and more player friendly. So and with what Sam does, going to church functions and teaching games and going to all these different things and teaching games and playing games with lots of people that aren't gamers, those are perfect. Between those ones and twos, he has a ton of fantastic games to bring new people in the hobby. So I like it. And as long as he loves them, they're all for him. I did want to talk about some upcoming games and things like that I think might change my top 100, but I think I will wait until maybe I'll do an extra video or a second video, just kind of talking about those, what I'm looking forward to, what I'm waiting for, all that kind of stuff. So the last thing I'm going to talk about today in this quick video is the years of the games that we put on our list. When I made my list, I just took all the games I like, I cut off all the ones that I didn't think would hit the top 100, and I shrunk that down until I ended up with 100 games in the order that I liked them, right? And I didn't check designers or dates or anything like that. So it was kind of an interesting thing to see. Sam had one 2024, which obviously is a cheat, but I guess he's allowed to cheat because it's his channel. I didn't have any 2024s, so at least I'm playing by the rules. 2023s, interesting enough, I had 5 and Sam had 6. Kind of for 2023, I didn't feel like the first 2/3 of 2023 there was a lot of like big games or really interesting games for my style, but there were 5 really good ones, out of that. The sad thing is now that Gen Con's done and Eschen Spiel's done, I got a massive list of 2023 games that I need to try to see if they'll make my top 100. So who knows? There could be several more. 2022 was interesting. I had 13 and Sam had 11, so pretty close. 2021, I had 6 and he had 7. 2020, I had 8 and he only had 3, which means he missed 5 really good games that should have been on his list. The biggest or the most significant actually is 2019. So Sam had 2022 11 games and 2019 11 games, and those are his 2 most, which is an interesting split. For me, my 2019s, I have 17 of them. And so I went through that list, and 12, 13, 14 of those are pretty freaking solid. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what falls off next year. I'm looking forward to, kind of playing it out. First thing I'm going to do next year, obviously, is I'm going to put my lists away. I'm going to hide them from myself, so the year from now when I start over, it'll be those thoughts from a year from now. So that's pretty cool. But 2018, I had 12. He had 7. 17, I had 10, and he had 6. 16, I had 9, and he had 7. So just kind of continued down. And between 11 and 15, I had like 15 games and he had like 18, 19 games. Those 5-year span was pretty small for both of us. Interesting thing, 2010 and before, I guess I did that in one group, I had only 6 and Sam had 22. So it's pretty cool that he has so much love for some of these older games. And obviously, it can be completely great games. For me, I'm a little bit different. I kind of feel like as games progress, mechanics, themes, design, graphics, components, all that stuff gets better. So I do lean towards newer, prettier, more tight games, but that doesn't mean the old games aren't good. And I really appreciate the fact that he's holding on to those and giving them the love that they deserve. So I think that's pretty cool. Really, that's all I had. Just a few quick notes. So now, right before I go, I'm going to tell you that my top 4 weighted games were Gaia Project, Cloudspire, Kanban EV, and Spirit Island. And for those of you who haven't guessed already, Sam's top 4 weighted games are TI4, number 1, which is weighted higher than both Kanban and Spirit Island. So, you guys, I haven't played TI4, so you guys will have to tell me if it's a heavier game than the ones on my list over here. And then his next 3 were Scarface, Star Wars Rebellion, and Darkest Dungeon. All of them, pretty darn heavy and super fun. So, really, that's all I have for you. I will let you go. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Go back to those 100 games, our lists, and watch those and enjoy. Other than that, since Sam's not here and he can't tell you, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not at his place. I'm not in his studio. I'm just kind of screwing around at my house here. So this is my house, but since Sam's not here and he can't tell you to see you on the flip side, I guess that's my duty. So thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the top 100, and we will see you on the flip side.